I took a summer job at a golf course that doesn't open until 3 a.m. Now I know why.
This was supposed to be my last summer of freedom. I was 18, varsity everything, full ride to a good school, parents proud. Life was right on track. I wasn't looking for much, just a way to make some extra money before college. So when I got a strange email offering a groundskeeping job at a private golf course just outside of town, I didn't think twice. Night shift, great pay, flexible hours. Sounded perfect. I'd driven past the course hundreds of times. It was always pristine, perfect greens, freshly cut fairways. Even the flower beds were manicured. But I'd never seen a single person out there. No golfers. No staff. Just silence. So when I
pulled up for the interview, I didn't know what to expect. The clubhouse was spotless and empty, like a hotel that had never opened. The guy who met me wore a pressed suit and had eyes like glass. No handshake, no small talk. Just business. "You'll be starting at 3:00 a.m., he said. "Your duties are simple." I nodded, waiting for the part about mowing, raking, cart maintenance or something. Instead, he slid a sheet of paper across the desk, typed instructions. 1 sentence per line. Walk to hole 1. Close your eyes. Stand still for 10 minutes. Move to hole 2. Repeat. Continue through hole 18. At the final hole, keep your eyes shut until you feel the sun on your face. Return the next night. I stared at the page for a good minute. "You're serious?" I asked. "Very. No offense," I said, "but this sounds like some eyes wide shut cult. I think I'm gonna pass." He didn't argue. He didn't even flinch. Just opened a folder and slid it toward me. Inside was a document with my name at the top, my photo, my signature at the bottom. "I never signed this," I said. "You opened the email. You clicked yes. That was enough." "What? That's not," he stood, adjusted his cuffs. "You belong to the course now," he said. "Until you're taken or until you find a replacement." I thought about walking out, but something in me said not to. Not yet. That first night, I was trained by a kid who couldn't have been older than 25. He looked dead behind the eyes. Skin pale, voice monotone. We didn't talk much, just walked. At each hole, we stood in silence with our eyes shut, 10 minutes at a time. The quiet was thick, like something was listening, watching. "You'll hear them," he said once, softly. "Don't open your eyes. No matter what." I wanted to laugh. I wanted to ask what
them meant, but I didn't, because by hole 6 I heard it too. Footsteps, crunching grass, low breathing right next to my ear, and I kept my eyes shut. I lasted 6
nights. Then I slipped. On hole 17, something touched my shoulder. Cold fingers. Too many of them. I panicked, opened my eyes, and saw them. They weren't human. Grey skin, limbs too long, faces like stretched leather. No eyes, just wide, grinning mouths full of tiny, clicking teeth. They froze when I looked. Then they charged. I ran, blindly, made it to the clubhouse just as the first light of dawn hit the horizon. The next night, I tried not to go, but I couldn't stop myself. My car drove itself. My body moved without me, like I was on a leash. Every night after that, they were closer. The air heavier, the breathing louder. I asked the man
in the suit why they didn't just kill me. "They could," he said, "but they enjoyed the game. You keep them entertained. You keep them here." "Here?" I asked. "If no one walks the course," he said, "they roam. They feed. Out there, on your neighbors, your family, the daycare down the street." He handed me a rake not to use, just to hold. "It's not a job," he said. "It's containment." I wanted to quit. I begged. I screamed. He just stared. "You agreed," he said. "Yours until you were taken or replaced." And that's when it clicked. Someone had done this to me. Someone had picked me. So I did the same. I went online, found a job.
Bored, Posted a listing with the same vague title, Night Groundskeeper Private Course. Great pay. No experience needed. A kid applied 2 days later. Desperate, just like I'd been. I met him at the clubhouse. Told him it was weird but easy. Just follow the instructions. Don't worry about it. He laughed. I didn't. That night, I walked the course one last time. The shadows hissed. The ground shook beneath the greens. But I made it. The sun hit my face. The cycle broke. I was free. When I got home, there was an envelope waiting on my kitchen counter. No stamp, just my name. Inside was one piece of paper, final clearance. Ground steward, release name, /redacted /date of completion, /redacted /reference, Kyle Matthews relationship, high school bully. I froze. Kyle, the quiet kid I used to mess with freshman year, the one who disappeared. I thought he'd run away. I was wrong. He'd been caught, and he waited years, just long enough to serve me up in return. Now I wonder how long it'll take before the kid I tricked does the same to someone else. And how long they'll wait, because the course doesn't just take anyone. It takes the ones who deserve to be haunted. Do not reply to the job offer. Don't open the email. Anne.
Whatever you do, don't open your eyes.
Bravissimo. My fitness tracker went off, telling me that I met my calorie burn goal for the day. Asterisk crazy, say troppo gentile. Asterisk. The devil rents a room.
I used to teach night classes at UTEP. You get used to the silence, the kind that clings to your skin long after the lecture's end. But the silence changed when Anna moved in. She was one of my graduate students. Brilliant, quiet, always early to class. Her parents had vanished in Juris a year prior, and the university let me offer her a spare room behind my house while she got back on her feet. Everything was normal until it wasn't. March 11, 2015, I got home after a 6-9 p.m. seminar and found Anna standing in the kitchen. Pale, eyes blank. The air felt heavy, static in the walls, like a thunderstorm indoors. She was whispering too.
Herself, repeating something in Latin. Ego te devoro, ego te complevium, sorry? I asked. She didn't look at me. She twisted, like her body didn't know which way to bend, and smiled. But it wasn't her smile. Her mouth hung too wide, and her eyes rolled back until only the whites showed. I ran, called campus police. I didn't know what else to do. The 2 officers who arrived said the temperature in the house dropped instantly. One of them swore he saw someone else standing behind her, tall, cloaked in black, though no one else was there. Anna began screaming, not in English, not even in Spanish. It was ancient. She
clawed her arms until they bled and howled with a voice that didn't belong in this world. We restrained her. Her pupils were gone. She looked at me and whispered. She said she'd wear me like skin. That's when the laughter started. High-pitched, childlike, but echoing all around us like it was coming from the walls. And then everything went still. They took Anna to the hospital. I visited once. She didn't remember anything. Just said he lived in the mirror and made her say things. I still teach. Still live in that same house. But the carriage room she stayed in. Always. Last week, I walked past and saw handprints
On the glass from the inside, small written backwards, like they were trying to push through. I called in a priest. He left halfway through the blessing and never came back. Now, every night at 3:03 a.m., my door creaks open on its own, and from the darkness, I hear, Ego te devoro, if you're a student here. Don't look into the mirror in the second floor women's restroom in the psychology building. She's still looking for someone new to wear.
It's getting AI.
Something else on the night shift.
I work night shifts alone, but something else clocks in with me. You know that feeling when you're the only one in a building.
That hum of silence, the echo of your own footsteps. It's weirdly peaceful.
That's what I thought anyway. I took a night shift job as a courier facility supervisor.
Nothing glamorous. I sit at a desk, monitor some security feeds, make rounds every 2 hours.
The pay's not bad, and I like the idea of being alone for a while. No co-workers, no noise. Just me and the hum.
That was a mistake. I started 2 months ago. First few nights, nothing strange. I even brought books to read. The warehouse has 4 main
Areas: the loading dock, storage, main hallway and admin office. Security feeds cycle through them. The cameras are old grainy black and white, with a bit of lag, but they did the job. On my 9th night, something changed. It was subtle, something I wouldn't have noticed if I wasn't already tired and zoning out. At 2:34 a.m, the hallway camera glitched. It only lasted a second, a little blur, but when the feed came back, there was something on the floor, just a dark smear. I went to check it out. The hallway smelled wrong, like burnt copper, and the smear, it looked like something had been dragged asterisk, but the floor was dry, and no one else
Was supposed to be here. I checked the entire building. All the doors were still locked. Motion sensors inactive. I wrote it off as a glitch. Maybe a leak. Maybe the night just plays tricks on tired eyes. But the next night it happened again. Same time, 2:34 a.m. Same blur. This time the smear was longer, reaching the edge of the hallway. Like something was being pulled further each time. I reported it to my supervisor. He looked at the footage, scratched his chin, and said, "That's been happening for years. Just ignore it." Years. I asked if there was any history to the building. He shrugged. "All I know is, don't follow it. That's what the last guy did." I
Wanted to press him, but he clammed up. I should've left then. I should never come back. I did some digging. The last night guard. His name was Jason. Disappeared in 2017. No official word. They said he quit without notice, left all his things behind. Even his lunch was still in the fridge. I found his locker. Still had his badge inside. And a little notebook. Most of the entries were mundane. 2:00 a.m. checked loading dock. All clear. 2:15 a.m. drank vending machine coffee. Bitter. But the last few pages? They changed. 2:34 a.m. There it is again. It moved closer. I think it knows I see it. Last night it was at the corner. Tonight, it was at
The door. I didn't open it. I didn't open it. What? If someone finds this, don't let IT in. The writing got shaky by the end. I took the notebook with me, showed it to my boss. He told me to destroy it. I didn't. I don't think I can. A week later, everything changed. It didn't wait for 2:34 anymore. The cameras started flickering at random. I'd be watching the loading dock, then static, and suddenly eyes asterisk right up to the lens. Black, reflective, wet, gone in a blink. Sometimes I hear breathing in the main hallway. Loud, slow, what breathing? But when I checked the mic feed, there's nothing. I started locking the office door. I bring a crowbar now. I don't feel alone anymore. 2 nights ago, I fell asleep on the desk, only for a minute. When I woke up, someone had written on the monitor in black marker, "You see me." I checked the cameras. The hallway feed showed a figure blurry, almost like the lens couldn't focus on it. Like static had a body. It was just standing there, not moving, not blinking, facing the camera. I watched it for 4 hours. It didn't move. At the end of my shift, it was gone. Last night, I found footprints. Black, heavy ones, leading from the storage area to the office door. My office door, but the cameras showed nothing. I stayed inside and didn't breathe. Something
brushed the door, slow and deliberate, like the caress of a hand. Then it stopped. When I opened the door at sunrise, there was another message on the wall. "Tomorrow." That's tonight. I don't know what to do. I'm sitting in the chair now. It's almost 2:34 a.m. The holy feed is fine, but my reflection in the screen, it's smiling. I'm not. I don't know where it wants, but I know it's coming. And I think when it gets here, I won't be allowed to leave either. Please, if you find this post, don't take the job. Don't reply to the listing. Don't be curious. Don't come looking. Just let me stay here. Let it end with me, because something else clocks in with
me every night, and it's getting closer. Check outside .png.
There once was a kid named Tim. He recently lost his best internet friend to suicide.
Tim thought he was dead.
Until one fateful night he got a message from his friend. Tim was extremely confused about the message. He muttered to himself, "What the heck?" He worked up the courage to open it. This would be the worst mistake of his life. Once he opened the file attached to the message, the power in his home went out.
Thinking it was a coincidence, he went to check on the power outside.
When he left his room, he felt a gust of cold air pass him. He walked outside and checked on the breaker. The power was still on, but
all the lights turned off. How? He said to himself. He walked through his home, turning on every light until he was content with the light levels in his house. One room's lights wouldn't turn on, though. It was the back storage room. He thought to himself, oh well, I guess I will get back to looking at that message. As he walked to his room, he felt the same gust of cold air. Odd, he thought. As he opened his door, he swore he saw a tall, shadowy figure standing by his PC. He shook it off as him being paranoid about his parents being gone for a work trip and it being very late. He sat down in his chair to play some video games completely.
Forgetting about the message. Hours passed and it was morning. He had stayed up all night. Oh man, he yelled. He ran to his bed and tried to sleep, still forgetting about that file. When he woke up, it was almost night. He had slept for the entire day. He sat up and did his morning routine, not noticing he was being watched. He sat back down and noticed another message from his dead friend's account. He realized he totally forgot about those messages. The message read, "You have 5 minutes to respond to my previous message." It scared him slightly. Maybe his account was hacked, he thought to himself. He
couldn't be more wrong. As he opened the old message, his mouse got locked to click on the file attachment. So, he did. When he saw the image, he recoiled in fear. He called his parents and told them that something weird was going on with his dead friend's old account. They told him to not worry and that they would be home in 2 days. He fell into a deep coma after the call with his parents. He woke up in a hospital bed 3 weeks later. After he got out of the hospital, he moved on with his life like normal, sometimes questioning the cause of those strange messages and his coma. One night his head started to hurt and lie.
anything. It drove him insane to the point that he couldn't take it anymore. He started to scratch his eyeballs out, leaving his room soaked in blood. He then destroyed everything in his room in a blind rage, and it all ended. Tim was dead. A few weeks later, more and more strange suicides started to pop up all around his town, and the thing connecting all of them, one message: check outside.
Me and me. Chapter 1 asterisk it whispers. The wind howls no, not the wind asterisk in a nameless patch of earth. He lay not asleep, not awake, half his body buried in sand, the other half unravelling slowly, as though time itself were rotting. No shadow to call his own, no intent from the sun to rise, nor from time to crawl across his thigh except for a single scorpion. No face, no mouth, just a question staring back from within there, my live. And silence, a silence that didn't answer. An idea, not quite formed, stared back at him. This wasn't death. No, not death. More like standing on a threshold to a home that isn't yours, a door that doesn't open.
World that doesn't recognize you. The sands, unwept by tears that cannot fall. The wind, no, not the wind, but the cracking of bones collapsing within. A sound, not from outside, but something that lived behind his spine. It moved within his ribs. A child's steps, or a child's shadow. The child spoke. This place is not the earth. You're in between. He pretended to understand, or believed he did, or thought if he didn't collapse, he might still remember how to be. Then he saw. An eye opened in the sky. Not a sun, not a moon, just an eye, watching me. It did not speak, but his mouth had cracked into a dry ravine. Weeds grew.
From it, there was a city on the horizon, a city without distance, built from rust and forgotten sins. He wasn't getting closer. The city was consuming what was left of him. Someone stood at the gate, waiting. No face, no body, just a pile of forgotten names. "You're late," they said. He didn't reply, didn't even know who was speaking. 2 heartbeats apart, everything crumbled. He found himself standing before a mirror that didn't reflect. Was it him lying in the desert, groaning without voice? Or was that the other, the one who had died? Was he the dead one? Was this a burial or a birth? The desert disappeared. He hadn't moved. Now.
He was in a street, foggy, senseless doors opening to alleyways that went neither inward nor out. There was a wall and a shadow behind every wall.
Shadows moved on their own.
But only he stood still.
The child returned. You chose the in-between. No life, no death, only you.
Then the fog swallowed his voice. The sand became sky.
The sky became a sea without water.
He no longer needed answers because the final question was painfully simple. Asterisk, asterisk, was I ever real? Asterisk, asterisk, and no one needed to answer.
Chapter 2 asterisk, asterisk, the sand breathes between the thirsty asterisk, asterisk, it isn't your voice.
Will you speak?
No, you don't. Yet something speaks.
With asterisk you. It breathes you, draws you out, shapes your edges, traces your outline inside your own eyes, as if you were the other. Were you an echo for something that hadn't yet spoken? The footsteps were heard not outside, but in the rib beneath your chest. Not a cage. You once thought it a door. But the void doesn't knock. It enters before you consider its existence. Who tricks me into thinking in sentences? You asked it. It didn't answer. But the letters rose from the sand, rippling with heat, inscribing themselves between your ribs and your memory. The void does not imagine you. It remembers you. So you listened. Not
to speech, but to what embedded itself in you like light, not warmth, not glow, not a sun, just something that made you doubt. It melted you. You weren't made of ice, but still you melted. The air didn't take you from your mouth, it seeped from between your thoughts, as if your mind were breathing itself. Before you, your shadow walked. Feet not yours. Two images, fractured. Neither turned to look back. Were you something? Or were you the language spoken by the void just so it could know itself? Time repeated, but it didn't return. You didn't return, you became repetition. Is life the echo of someone who forgot how to come back? Asked the skull that had grown in your chest. The answers never came, but they sat before you. Not in the sand, but on a single memory that hadn't yet been spoken. You heard silence like the sound of an explosion inside water. She laughed, the copy of you that had mistaken herself for your shadow. It wasn't your birth but its echo, not with a voice but with repetition. Your form redrawn by the void, not a shape of yourself but something that tried to be. When forgetfulness perfects repetition, existence is born. You were once a seeming, and once again you were. The void spoke, not a question, but something.
Shaped like one born from you, yet not of you, and it became a question without answer. Who am I? You fell, not back, not into place, but into a space that had never known you. A fall, not a return, and just before you had been. But now you were not. The echo mistook your silence for forgetting how to speak, and in a single moment you became silent. Chapter 3 asterisk, when the letter was breathing you asterisk ash, does not come from fire. It comes from repetition, from letters unspoken, from breaths you didn't mean to breathe. You spoke. Without a hand he wrote. Without a mouth you uttered sentences no one had ever thought.
It had lived in your third rib, not a thought but the passerby. He stood where no place could be entered. Not really standing, but still he lingered, like a question frozen in form. You didn't see a face. You didn't see him before you. You saw him inside you. He said, I never passed through you. I was what you were keeping out. Did you understand? No. The sentence had clung to you like a scar, settled in a place beyond your hand's reach. The passerby didn't come to fill you, he came to empty you. Who are you? You asked, but not aloud. He replied, I am what remains of you when you decide not to be. You saw yourself. Not
a mirror, but a former feeling exhaled on the day of your first silence. Time turned, not like a ring, but like intestines, twisted and warm, a creature within a sentence unfinished. It was written in a language you did not yet know the rules for. The passerby came closer. He did not move, but still, you were retreating. You hadn't stepped back, but you had. You asked him, when was I? He replied, you were I when you tried to understand. Then you forgot the question. From deep within you, an ancient voice emerged. One that once said, I am not I. You didn't recognize it as yours. It entered your mouth like a guest who departs before he is named. It sat near your head, not to comfort, but to empty you into the void. Every letter you breathed was never yours, he said, and folded into you. You are the breath the letter did not choose. The letter began to breathe you, not as sound, not as word, but as pulse, as image, as a shape never heard. Why? You asked. He answered, because you were asking the wrong question in the correct script. And just before you could ask again, the void slipped between you and him, between you and the question. It consumed time and swallowed it. Suddenly he was no longer there, but not
vanished, not melted, not faded. He simply was no longer there. Asterisk. Two shadows remained inside you, answers that could never coexist, like contradictions that forget the question once they form. Final chapter asterisk to where there is no return asterisk. The shadow stretched. It had no body, but it remained standing, as if frozen, as if forgetting how to move forward, and then suddenly time stopped. Not a rupture, but an interruption. Mid-silence, he lay. He, not feeling thirst, not feeling sand, not even himself. And then, simply, he no longer believed. He stood and walked. A man came from no direction. Walk, eh? No sound.
The sand swallowed his steps because they were not a sound, but a choice not to be one. Each step measured, present, understandable, ordinary. His face had features, yet every time he tried to remember them, they dissolved in a flicker of attention. The man did not smile, did not greet. He sat down, placed a small wooden box in the sand, opened it. It was a box that does not open, is not explained, is not questioned. Yet a voice echoed, not in your ears, but in your chest. My name is Chuang-Tzu. He did not ask who he was. He did not seem surprised. The question, it seemed, was too shy to be asked. Chuang-Tzu looked toward the horizon, the one that no longer held anything, and said, I will tell you your story. It's not what you thought, not as you imagined. He began to speak, and between each sentence, he breathed, as if the sand itself was exhaling him. You were a butterfly in a garden that did not bloom, hovering around a paper flower, never touching truth, avoiding the ground. You thought it was lightness, but it was forgetting. You called it freedom, but it was escape from your roots. Then you became a fly on the eyelid of a frog. They were watching your trembling. You thought them asleep, but they laughed at your
buzzing because you had forgotten that fear has no sound. Later, you were a cat licking the warmth of the enemy, thinking its safety because you did not yet know danger. You searched for a lap between the jaws of dogs. You grew used to the thing that bit your back, and because it was familiar, you loved it. Then you were a turtle, your heart a shell, your back a mirror. You walked slowly, not because you were patient, but because you mistook delay for salvation. You thought you were moving, but you were hiding inside your own time. Then you became a rock and said, now no one can hurt me. You forgot that the wind does not
Sculpt but wear down.
Your features vanished from too much endurance.
And finally, you became a tree. You forgot that roots do not scream, that stillness does not mean acceptance, and that silence is not peace.
You smiled each time someone broke your branch because you feared saying your word aloud.
He bowed his head
And whispered you were something without a name.
What remained of you was the shadow of a version that tried to remember what came before it.
And it thought, asterisk, that must be me dot asterisk asterisk. He raised his head,
Looked into your eyes, or as if he did. You weren't sure they were his eyes. And he said every
image you wore was an escape from the question, who am I? And each time you become something, you believed it was transformation. But you never asked, who chooses the change? You changed your skin, but not your pain. You were everything except yourself. He reached into the box. He didn't open it, just pointed. Inside, only one thing. Only one. This is the question you'll never answer because it was you. Then he stood. He did not move. But after that, he was no longer there. He didn't vanish. Didn't dissolve. Didn't fade. He simply was no longer there. Asterisk. He asterisk closed his eyes. Not asleep. Not awake. Not in anything.
Not of anything, only a dot at the end of a sentence never written. Asterisk the end asterisk asterisk.